It's your man 100 Grand Russ, but the rock never stops. Yo, yo, we got to keep talking about this. Our squad is absolutely rolling. They're rolling. They're getting the victories. They're getting the dubs. They are growing, progressing. They are playing some real high level, top notch basketball. And I want to talk about that today in this video. But more than anything, I want to highlight some of the positives. Some of y'all been on my top. I'm gonna be honest. Some of y'all been on my case. Y'all been out here telling me, look, man, you're kind of negative, man. Kind of negative. And I get it. You know, I'm a competitor. I'm someone who is constantly looking to improve, to grow, to develop. And sometimes that could come across as being negative. I get it. I get it. But I think what it also is that I see the potential for growth. And I love growing things. I love growing plants. I love growing athletes. I love helping people grow in their life journey. I love, people grow towards achieving any goal that they have. And the Pistons' goal is to win a championship. The Pistons' goal is to be the best team in the NBA, the best team in the world. An NBA championship is by far indicative of being the best team in the world. With that said, it's a journey to get there. It is a journey to get there. And I love being on that journey. I love the journey of it. So today we're going to dive in talking about the Detroit Pistons, taking that turn, turning that page, uh, turning that corner. Because I think this team really is getting a lot better. Not just a little better, a lot better. They are playing the type of basketball that, if I'm honest with you, um, we should be very excited about what we're seeing. The fact that we are getting our roster back, our full roster back, the fact that our guys are not just getting better, they're also playing at a higher level. They're also gelling, figuring out how to play with one another, how to play off of one another, how to improve their continuity and the seamlessness in which they can run their system. All these things are major steps from the best teams. Major steps from the best teams. These are not small feats. Learning how to play with one another requires, first off, it requires time. It requires time. It requires a lot of failure. It requires a lot of guys doing the wrong things. And when I say the wrong things, I mean the things that aren't necessarily effective. Playing the style of play that doesn't optimize the potential of the team. And then the coaches have to go back and they have to look at what they see. And then they have to go back in the locker room. They have to go back in the coaches' meeting and they have to develop a scheme and a plan, how to communicate it to the players, their expectation, create drills and strategies for a practice in order to develop those skills and abilities. And then they have to streamline it into the game and they have to do preparing or preparation for the upcoming game so that they know how to apply that thing that they're working on to the team that they're facing. There is a process. There is a process. You don't just grow in continuity. You don't grow in chemistry. You don't develop a system and identity or a culture by one hoorah talk in the locker room. You don't develop these things overnight. It takes time. It takes a special group where the energies of the players match, right? You got to have guys that can gel. You got to have guys that have the right balance on the team. You got to have somebody who brings some energy to the squad. You got to have somebody who brings some maturity to the squad. You got to have players who play different roles, have different personality types to bring it all together so that it matches and it balances. What we see in front of us in terms of the Detroit Pistons is a journey, is a journey of growth, development. So what we see today in terms of where they're at, where they're really moving towards, man, it's special. because many teams don't get here. Many teams never get here. John Wall, Bradley Beal, Marcin Gortat, Otto Porter Jr. never got here. Never truly clicked. Never truly bought in to playing with one another. There's other examples. You got, let me think of some teams that we thought were going to turn a corner. I mean, the Memphis Grizzlies, the more recent, right? The Minnesota Timberwolves with Karl Anthony Towns. Shoot, almost any Minnesota Timberwolves rendition of that organization. Never got here. Never got to this place where the Detroit Pistons are, where they have developed an identity of winning, a culture of winning, holding each other accountable, playing with one another, for one another. This is a special place. But let me dive into it. Let me dive into it. But before I do, if you haven't already, if you could smash the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Remember, it's a small thing for y'all. It's a small thing for you, but it's a big thing for the channel. It is a really big thing for the channel. So when you can, please smash the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Remember, when you hit the bell, scroll up and hit the little all so you get notified of my posts, surveys, short videos, all those different things. All right. And if you want, become a member, yo. Become a member. My members are hella dope. The chat is dope. It's a good time. This is a dope community. I hope you all have a chance to be a part of it as much as possible. All right. With that said, let's dive into this. You know, one of the things that I really appreciate seeing in this roster, seeing in this team, is the growth of their confidence. And if I'm honest, okay, see, I'm about to do the thing where y'all say I always do the thing and it make it sound negative. But bear with me on this. I love seeing the growth of our confidence, even though we are nowhere near getting to the peak of where each of our talents can and should be. What do I mean by that? It's almost like, for those of you who might be parents, you might see your kid take their first steps. Maybe they're waddling around the house. Now, you know, one day they're going to be able to run. They're going to be able to sprint, right? They're going to be able to jog, backpedal. They're going to be able to skip. They're going to be able to leap in the air, right? They might even dunk one day. But you see them just take steps. They're waddling around the house, finding their balance. Now, I'm not saying we're there, right? I'm not saying we're waddling, right? But we're just kind of moving around. Maybe a little run from here to there. And we're like, oh, that's super cute. That's super cute. Nowhere near where we're going to be. Nowhere near where we're going to be. We have so much more to go. Let me just break down the roster for you in terms of where we're going to go. Jalen Duren. I said yesterday in the live, I said, Jalen Duren, you got to shoot. You have to shoot. You have to shoot the ball. Too often what we're seeing is he'll catch the ball, especially against this zone that everyone thinks that they can run against us. It's too often he's catching the ball, he's turning, he's facing, and he sees distance between him and his defender. He sees no one is stepping up to him. And he turns and he faces, and instead of shooting that little 10 to 15-foot jump shot, he puts the ball on the floor and dribbles into the defense. Well, what happens as a result? The defense is now waiting for him. They collapse on him. Guys like Neemias Queta, right, who are nowhere near as talented as him, and yet he plays into their defensive positioning. They already have their verticality, their hands are up, and now all of a sudden we are dealing with a turnover, a block shot, a missed shot, because he's making the game more difficult. What happens when Jalen Duren starts taking that jump shot? What happens when he starts taking and hitting consistently that free throw line jump shot? Remember, he's already knocking down his free throws at a high rate. Let's pull it up right here. Jalen Duren this season, averaging 18 points, 11 rebounds, about 2 assists. He's shooting 75% from the free throw line. Now, keep in mind, in his second season, he shot 79% from the free throw line, but he's getting to the free throw line 6.5 times this season. So these are the stepping stones. These are the growth points. So when I say that we are playing confidently, and that is a sign of our growth, and yet we're nowhere near where we're going to be, that's what I mean by we have so much more to grow. But it's still dope to see the process of where we're at. Seeing Jalen Duren become an offensive force where he recognized that he can be a hub for us offensively, where he can have a stretch where he rips off 3, 4 baskets in a row, maybe gets an assist, gets the free throw line a couple times, right? That he can take over for stretches. When he believes that he can do that, when that's how he's playing, that's how he's focused in the game. That's a growth point because he wasn't doing that at any other point in his career. He was not a takeover guy. He was not someone that you can say, hey, you know what? We haven't scored in a while. Give him the ball and let's just clear out. Kingmaker, he says in the chat, Duren's lack of shooting feels deliberate, but I can't tell why. Uh, Surely it helps his contract negotiations. You know what? Sometimes a guy is working on his shot. Sometimes he's working on it. And sometimes while he's working on it, he's sitting there saying, you know what? I don't feel comfortable with it yet. But sometimes it's also just a confidence thing. Sometimes it's also a recognition thing. Sometimes it's something that you talk about with the coaches and they let you know when you have that green light. I'm sure he already does. But it's to say there could be a myriad of reasons why Jalen Duren is not taking that shot. I'm just saying once he does, watch out. Watch out. The moment Jalen Duren starts taking that 15-footer, turning and facing, and you lay off him, it's bucket. It's a bucket. Shoot, wait till he gets that little Karl Malone, Alonzo Mourning, Tim Duncan, Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, little kiss off the glass from the short wing. Remember how they used to do that? Chris Webber. They used to face their man up. They used to get the ball in the post, face up, so they could see where the double team is coming from. They can observe how their man is guarding them, and they give you that little pump fake, one dribble, dunk, face you up, pump fake, pull up over the top, face you up, too far off, pull up over the top. They had a whole offensive package. When Duren starts knocking down that 15-foot jump shot, a whole part of his game is going to get unleashed. I think that's when we start seeing the games when he's scoring 18, when he's scoring 19, 20 points, to all of a sudden scoring 27. That's when the defense will truly be at his mercy. So I love seeing the growth of us getting to this point. Now, we also have guys like Asar Thompson. Asar Thompson is a little bit more of a mercurial type of a talent. I'm going to use the term mercurial. It's a unique talent. It is an uncommon talent. Someone who has the ability to play a very skilled game at a really high level in a lot of different areas. A really skilled game at a really high level in many different areas. For example, let's just start offensively before we get to the defense. We know about the defense, right? We know he's an all-world defender. We know Asar Thompson is him when it comes to defense. He's first team all defense. He has to have one of the best opponent field goal percentage rates in the NBA. But let's just say this offensively. Asar Thompson has the ability to get the rebound and bring the ball up court, for one. He has the ability to handle pressure in bringing the ball up the court. He has the ability to accelerate our pace, our tempo, and make the correct read, whether it's pulling it out, getting us into our offensive set, whether it's continuing downhill in transition for a layup, whether it's continuing downhill in transition to kick the ball out. He has the ability to get us into our offense off of a defensive rebound. If I'm honest with you, it's something that I wish we had seen a little bit more of against the Celtics. I wish we had seen a little bit more of that against the Celtics. But I do understand they may not have wanted to really line up Asar Thompson and Derek White. Maybe that was why the Pistons didn't go with that. But I still would have liked to have seen it. Even though I would say Cade Cunningham did a masterful job going against Jordan Walsh and Hugo Gonzalez. He did a masterful job. Right? He had, 10 assists to only 3 turnovers? Yeah. 10 assists to 3 turnovers. That's a hell of a game. But here's the thing that we also know about Asar Thompson is that when he brings the ball up, it gets him into a flow. It gets him into the game. He's a real guard. He's a real guard forward. He's a real point forward. He needs to be handling the ball. He needs the ball in his hands. So hopefully we see against the Dallas Mavericks, he's bringing the ball up more. He's attacking and trying to get downhill more. It will be interesting to see if Cooper Flagg lines up against Asar instead of maybe PJ Washington. It will be interesting. It will be interesting how they line up defensively. But I digress. Asar Thompson also has the ability to play a legitimate point guard position. Not only does he have the ability to bring it up the court, he also has the ability to play point guard. Get us into our sets, get us into our offense, make a post-entry pass, play make, penetrate and kick. He has the ability to play point guard. Legitimately. I think on a lesser team, like if he was on the Indiana Pacers, this season without a Tyrese Halliburton, I think they would have already deployed him as their point guard. They would have said, because remember, Asar Thompson and Jarris Walker were drafted back-to-back, similar to Jaden Ivey and Benedict Mathurin, which kind of speaks to that rivalry. I think if Asar Thompson is in Indiana, Indiana's playing him at point guard just so he can get the reps. All this to say is Asar Thompson more than has that ability to do that for a team. But it doesn't stop there. Asar Thompson also has the ability to create his own shot. And this is probably the greatest area of growth for Asar Thompson. And he doesn't even necessarily realize that he has it like that. Because if he did, he'd probably be doing it every single time. I've said it over and over repeatedly. There is no one who can really stay in front of Asar Thompson. There's no one who is big enough, strong enough, athletic enough, or quick enough to stay in front of him. They might be big, they're too slow. They might be quick, they're too small. He always has an advantage when he's getting downhill, attacking the rim. As a result, he's increasing in the gravity that he has of teams feeling the need to collapse on him and help. I think that's going to grow, though, as he gets more and more confident. Kingmaker in the chat says, I think it's all in the mind with him. I think it is, too. But I think he's also reading a lot of different things. Cortez Whitlow, yo, what's good? It's good to see you in the chat. My brother, definitely. It's good to see you in the chat. One of the members here. We're talking about the Pistons turning a corner in terms of their game style, how they're playing this season. It's getting special. It's getting absolutely special. Asar Thompson. Not only does he have the ability to get downhill to the rim at will, he also has the ability to post up smaller guards effectively posting up smaller guards. He knows how to execute a post move, a little crab dribble, little 1-2 drop step over the top, little jump hook, little turnaround jumper, right? Like he can execute the post move to punish smaller guards consistently. He has the ability to also play off the ball. He's a great cutter off ball. He should have at least 2 to 4 points every single game cutting off ball, whether it's from the weak side wing when Cade or Ivy drives, whether it's being in the dunker spot or cutting along the baseline. He has the ability to play off ball and be an effective scorer. He also has the ability to hit the offensive glass, get put back tip ins and dunks. Remember how effective he was against the New York Knicks in that role in the dunker spot. His first, second leaping ability with that 7-foot wingspan at 6'7, 6'8, 6'9. He has the ability to be a difference maker on the offensive glass, especially alongside Jalen Duren. I say all that to say is that we're seeing Asar piece it all together, right? The pieces are slowly but surely coming together. They're slowly but surely, they're not all together yet. It's not one tight knit package, right? When you see Amen Thompson, he's more of a tight knit package. But I keep saying a lot of that was due to the fact that Amen Thompson didn't have an injury. He didn't have blood clots, right? Asar did. So Asar lost about, I would say, close to a year's worth of his development. So even though he's in year 3, he's really in year 2. Now, what I see from Asar Thompson in terms of turning that corner is that he's going to continue to put it together. He's going to continue to have really big games. And I've said that before. He's going to have a season that looks like this. More up and down, but higher ups and less downs. Because whether he's scoring or not, he's still capable of double-digit rebounds, 4 or 5 assists, 2 to 4 stocks, that's steals and blocks combined. He has an incredible ability to affect the game. And here's the thing. Almost like an OG Anunoby. Even if he's not getting steals and blocks or even a lot of rebounds, because he's such a lockdown defender, a versatile lockdown defender, he creates so much for this team in terms of their offense, in terms of their ability to get out in transition, to secure rebounds. He is extremely, extremely talented. Now let me keep going because I don't want to bog us down. I can go on and on. Some of y'all who think I might speak negatively about this team, you have to understand. I see the potential. I see the vision. I see where we're headed. I see it. But I digress. Cade Cunningham played a really good game against the Boston Celtics. Not his best game. I think Atlanta was probably his best game, but a really good game against the Boston Celtics. And when I say his best game, I'm talking about a complete floor game, a real game where you are masterfully utilizing the system, maximizing your team's potential. You are playing in the flow. You're empowering your teammates. You're playing excellent defense. You're staying out of foul trouble. You are impacting the game across the board in all these areas that you're capable of. And the reason why that is so important is because when you get to the playoffs, that's how you win in the playoffs. You win by showing up as a great rebounder, a great defender, and a great scorer, and a great facilitator, and a great on-ball defender, and a great help defender, a great transition player, right? You maximize whom you can be each and every play. And when each player on your team is doing that, that's how you overwhelm teams and you beat them in the playoffs. You don't do that just by being good at one thing, because there are so many other ways to affect the game. Remember, everyone's field goal percentage goes down in the playoffs. Everyone's. So if everyone's field goal percentage is going down in the playoffs, you have to figure out other ways to affect the game. That is what this team is working on. How do you maximize your ability to impact and affect the game, not just through scoring? Because you have to be able to do other things. You have to. You have to. What Cade is learning to do is just that. Settling into this offense, settling into the system, settling into their ability to affect the game across the board to maximize the efficiency of the team. Dwayne Pritchard in the chat was good, my boy, was good. That New York Knicks team that won the cup will still beat us. We are too fragile, too many mistakes. They were frustrated. Um, they were frustrated. Us Brunson is a killer. Our IQ has to increase. Holland and Thompson too inconsistent. You know what? These are the things that many times people don't want to talk about. These are things that many times we don't want to talk about. Ghostkeeper says there's too many players with gravity for Sar not to feast on cutting. That's very true. I think this is the next player that I'm going to get to is going to speak to that. So we might as well dive in on it. Now, actually, no, not yet. Cade Cunningham, he still has to work on knowing where he's going to get his shots from. He has to. He has to. He has to get to a point where he completely recognizes where he's going to get his shots from. Not always getting into the teeth of the defense. I love that his three-point shot is coming back because we need a floor spacer. We need him to space the floor. We do. We need him to space the floor. And when he's knocking down threes, it really opens up the rest of the court for everyone else. But Cade also has to have the game when he needs a bucket. And he did it against Derek White down the stretch of that game. When it was a close game, Cade Cunningham put Derek White, one of the better defenders in the league. He put him in the, what do we call it? He put him in the spin cycle. Put him in the spin cycle. Gave him a little, hand, little, I got you, cross. And then he walked him down to that low free throw line. And then he gave him a little, bump and then a little fake spin. And then turned back around, face-up jumper. And Derek White had gone the wrong way. He had gone the wrong way. Next, Cade Cunningham with a wide open, low 13, 14-foot jump shot. Nothing but net. All but sealed the game. That's what Cade has the potential to do. He can do that at any time. Now, what we also saw in this game is he was drawing fouls on guys. Now, some of it was just like, young defenders like Jordan Walsh and Hugo Gonzalez didn't know how to really guard without fouling. All right. So he was able to take advantage of them. He did. And there were probably plenty more fouls he could have gotten. Probably should have gotten to the free throw line another 3-4 times. But he did get there. Well, I mean, if I'm honest, it's actually terrible. I'm checking the stats now. My bad. Let me retract that. He only got to the free throw line for 4 free throws. That's twice. That is BS. That is BS. That is absolutely egregious. And he only got to the free throw line twice. That's crazy to me because he's getting hammered. The reach-ins, the little crafty grab pulls, slaps on the elbow. I think it's something that the Detroit Pistons need to send a video to the league. Look, if Jalen Brunson can get the calls that he gets, Cade Cunningham should be getting the calls that he deserves. Because Cade's not out there flopping. At the same time, I keep saying Cade also needs to learn how to draw the foul. The obvious foul. When he's attacking, getting downhill, he needs to understand the moment he starts attacking his man downhill, he has him in a compromised position because Cade is too strong. He's too long. He's too agile. He's too balanced. He's got too much length and too much touch. So they have to crowd him. And if they're crowding him, they are immediately in a compromised position. You take 1 to 2 dribbles, get a little change of pace, go right up into him, straight into the shot. All you gotta do is literally just go into the shot. Especially if they're on your left side, go into the shot and you flare the elbow out like you're supposed to, shooting that little L. Boom, and you're gonna take that bump. You put the ball in. That's SGA classic. That's an SGA classic. That's a James Harden classic. Except he's a lefty, so he has it with his right hand. He's going up, bow, takes a bump on the free throw line. Every time. They don't allow defenders to crowd them. If you're crowding them, You are literally gambling with your minutes. More than likely, if you are crowding them, you are going to be in foul trouble. That is what defenders have to know it's going to be like facing Cade Cunningham. Yes, he's going to get there 8 to 10 times a game. Cade Cunningham should be shooting 10 free throws a game. That should be his goal, from if I'm honest. Get to that free throw line. But it has to be in a way where you're actually taking advantage of your defender, not trying to overcome an advantage of the defense. What do I mean by that? When you drive into the paint, you have to see if there's 3 guys there. If there's a bunch of defenders waiting for you at the rim, then you're going to have to attack the gap before you get there. That little soft spot, that little opening in the defense. Attack the gap. Marcus Sasser does an amazing job of this. Attacking the gap. That little mid-range area. Attack that area. In fact, that may be one of Cade's biggest jumps. But let me keep going. Jaden Ivey is the next one that I want to get to. He shot 7 threes against the Boston Celtics. If I'm honest with you, about at least I would say 4 to 6 of them were wide open. Remember, Jaden Ivey is a shooter / scorer. And then lastly, playmaker for others or himself. All right. He is a high-level shooter. He is someone, I think, is going to get to that 40% from the three-point line percentage. Shooting a volume of about 5 to 7 threes a game. 5 to 7 threes a game. That's what he's going to get to. So when you look at what Jaden Ivey was doing, I think it is a precursor. It is a prequel to what we're going to continue to see throughout the season. Jaden Ivey is going to shoot threes. A lot of them. And it is going to equate to him having some big games. Remember, he literally got, I would say, 5 or 6 out of the 7 threes that he took were wide open. Corner threes. Weak side wing threes. Right? He was getting the looks that we would hope he gets. In the future, I don't think he will get. Boston kind of lucked out in this game that he was missing. But when Jaden Ivey rounds out into form, shooting that high 30s to low 40s from 3, and he starts shooting and making 3 to 4 threes out of 7 attempts, it's a very different game. Because instead of him missing and it becoming a transition opportunity for Boston, that's a make. And now we go back and we set up our defense. Now, all of a sudden, you have to close out harder on Ivy. Now, all of a sudden, it opens up his playmaking in the paint. Now, all of a sudden, right, it opens up more things. When Jaden Ivey's shooting rounds into form, now we see him. I think we can expect fully Jaden Ivey's going to be playing over 20 minutes a game. Fully. I think that is just a part of this progression. For the rest of the month, for the rest of this year, Jaden Ivey's over 20 minutes a game. Something else that I keep seeing the last couple of games is Jaden Ivey gets into the paint at will. At will. Now, he has to understand whom he's attacking, right? Attacking Derek White probably isn't the best, option. Wait for a Peyton Pritchard. Shoot, I would wait for a Josh Minot, Jordan Walsh. Anybody but Derek. Not Derek. Attacking Derek is like, if you're really in your bag and you really, you got it going. Like Cade, he had it going, right? Cade had 32 points in this game. He had it going. He can attack Derek White for that, game-clinching shot. Go for it. Go for it, my boy. Pat him on the behind. You got it. Jaden Ivey, bro, I'm going to need you to get yourself going, bro. I'm going to need you to work yourself into the game before you start attacking Derek White. But all to say is that most teams, they don't have a Derek White. The majority of teams do not have that high-level perimeter defender who has great anticipation skills, who can move their feet, has really good size at about 6'5", really good athleticism, really disciplined. He's gonna be able to make a play on the ball. That's the Dyson Daniels, Sarah Thompson. So these guys, it's better to just swing that, score in a different way. Maybe dribble handoff, maybe pick and roll. Not I'm attempt to straight line drive you and just use my speed. Especially because we know Jaden Ivey right now is not playing at his top speed. If we watch him out there, it still looks laborsome. It still looks hesitant. It still looks like he is kind of getting his confidence in his body again to explode, to really be the athlete we know Jaden Ivey to be. The next person. Well, and let me also add this. Jaden Ivey is not only getting into the paint at will against most defenders, he's also finding his teammates. Though he does need to learn how to make some better passing decisions. His little scoop shot, that little quick little Russell Westbrook is not necessarily a high level pass. A bounce pass on the move that's right where it's supposed to be, a little lob over the top. He has to mix it up. He's doing too many of these like short passes in the paint that are getting deflected, getting knocked away, getting stolen, becoming turnovers. He's going to have to learn how to make better reads, better passes in that little in between area. But it's to say the progress is still, he's getting everywhere he wants. He's getting absolutely wherever he wants to in that paint, breaking down the defense, collapsing the defense, forcing the other team to have to break down their scheme to help, and then creating openings for his teammates. Having another guy who can do that consistently, alongside of Cade, alongside of Duran, alongside of Asar, right? You see it starting to like mount how many guys we have who can do this. Now let me get to the next guy. Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart, I keep saying he has a maturity growth point. Not that I want him to change in any major way in terms of how he plays, his character, being this physical guy, playing on the interior. But I need him to understand his role more of just how important he is on this team and that he can't get caught up in the BS. He can't get caught up in guys trying to rile him up, get under his skin. He's supposed to be the guy that does that to them. And I don't mind when he's doing that. If he gets caught once trying to do that, okay, cool. But I don't want to see you riled up, bro. And when I say riled up, I mean getting technicals because those technicals add up. And many times by the time you get to that low 15, 16 technical mark, where now the next one is a full game suspension, it's usually the playoffs. But I need you to get to the playoffs with under 10 technicals so that if you get a technical in the playoffs, we're not worried about you having to miss a game in a series, a crucial game in a series. Because if you do get there, I guarantee you they're going to literally go at you for that. You know why? Because you're that good. You're that important to us. That's what I mean by I need him to mature. You got to start seeing the full picture, bro. You got to start understanding just how much of an impact you have on this team. Not just that, I also need to see Isaiah Stewart. And I know it might sound like I'm getting into a negative space. Dang it. I didn't mean, okay, look, I'm going to frame it in the positive. Isaiah Stewart, he does a great job scoring on the interior, finding mismatches, pinning his man under the rim, scoring in the post, a little jump hook. He's got a great left hand, offhand finishing ability. Does a little back you down, fake over the right, fake over the left, turn over the right, finish with his left hand. Now he's doing a little back you down, fake over the right, turn over the left, jump hook. Right, he's got a nice little offensive package down there. He's also showing the ability to take you off the bounce, especially if you're slower footed or unsuspecting, like Asa Newell was or Onyeka Kongwu. He also has the ability to knock down the three ball. I keep saying I want to see Isaiah Stewart shoot more threes. I do. I just want him to go on a stretch where he's shooting about at least three-point attempts a game. This last game against the Boston Celtics, he only had one 3-point attempt. I need Isaiah Stewart to start reading the floor. And I know it sounds negative. Dang it. It is what it is, y'all. It is what it is. I'm just telling y'all what I see. But we're turning the corner because we're putting it together. That's the point. That's the point. We're putting it together. We're putting it piece by piece by piece by piece. We're figuring it out. We are putting it together. But Isaiah Stewart needs to understand who else is on the court with him. If he's playing alongside Duran, you're a spacer. If you're playing alongside Asar Thompson, you are a spacer. Now, if you got Dennis Jenkins, Ron Holland, maybe Tobias Harris, maybe you got Karis LeVert on the court with you, okay, you can play on the interior. We've got guys who can knock down shots, can knock down threes. But until Asar Thompson starts knocking down threes, until Duran starts being willing to take jump shots, we have to have spacing. You got to know your role based upon who you're playing with. That is a turning point. I'm elated that Isaiah Stewart is knocking down and taking so many high level shots. He's knocking down these threes, top of the key, the wing. I need you to keep shooting, even if you miss, bro. But I love to see him expanding his game in this way. When it's all said and done, and now he's this inside out player. Onyeka Kongwu is a great comparison. I think there's a chance he could get even to that Nas Reed level, where he's really knocking down threes with regularity and mixing it up, taking you off the bounce, getting you in the post, shooting the three, taking you off the bounce, shooting the three, putting you in the post, shooting the three, right? Like he's going to have, there is a level Isaiah Stewart can get to. And I want to say Isaiah Stewart is how old? How old is Isaiah Stewart? Hold on, pull it up right now. Pulling it up right now. Isaiah Stewart is what, 26? Isaiah Stewart is 24. Wow, that's wild. That's wild that Isaiah Stewart is only 24 years old. That's wild. Yo, he's not even 25. This team is special, y'all. This team is special. All right, let's keep going. J.R. Getta. Yo, great point. Great point. Maybe if Nas Reed, uh, gave him a little bit more in the post, maybe they can go a little deeper. Because maybe he can help Rudy go there, who really can't give you nothing like that in a post. You said, I don't need my big boy shooting 10 threes. Look, it's not even that he's shooting 10 threes a game. It's about his willingness to be a floor spacer. When he really normalizes and opens up that part of his game, what it's going to do for the rest of the team is it now forces the opposing team's big man out of the paint. Remember, think long term. Think strategy for the playoffs. Think he has Mitchell Robinson on him. If he is a 3-point shooter that we know he can be, who can knock down 3 to 5 threes in a game, which we know he can do, that now changes the dynamic for the opposing defense. It does. It changes everything. Now all of a sudden, teams are going to have to rethink how they guard the paint. Teams are now going to have to recognize they're sacrificing either an open three or an open line drive to Jaden Ivey or Cade Cunningham. Now they're going to have to start picking their poison. They can't keep the big under the rim, which right now is what is happening, if you haven't noticed. They just camp their big out under the rim. That's what they do. Yep. That's why they got Cat out there. Too many threes, letting too many guards guard you and you six. Here's the thing. It's about matchups. It's about matchups. And I appreciate the point. I think I would counter that with We have to be able to read the floor and know the matchup as we match up accordingly. Do I have a lineup with me where I need to be a shooter? Do I have a lineup with me where I can play more on the interior? Do I have a defensive matchup where I need to pull him out of the paint? Or do I have a matchup where I can take advantage and score on the interior? These are the ways that Isaiah Stewart has to start maturing and thinking the game so that he's aware of what to attempt, what to focus on each time down the court. If you got Mitchell Robinson, if you got Giannis, if you got Embiid, that's not the time to post up. The time to post up is when you have a Miles Turner, when you have a Josh Minot, when you have an undersized player, even on Yeka Kongwu, right? Undersized guy that you can take advantage of. You got to know your matchups. Make the game easy. Make the game easy. The next person I want to get to is Ron Holland. Ron Holland, man, that boy's starting to put it together. He is starting to put it together. Ron Holland, this last game, hang on, man. Make sure I'm queued up. All right. Ron Holland in this last game, pull up the stats, scroll down. Here we go. All right. Ron Holland against the Boston Celtics shot 3 of 8 from the field, 1 of 2 from the three-point line. What y'all doing? What y'all doing? Doing too much. All right, here we go. All right. Slide it over. Ron Holland got to the free throw line only once, which is a shame. We do not get refereed as we deserve to be. I guarantee a playoff run is going to change that narrative. He had 9 points, 5 rebounds, 4 fouls. Ron Holland is starting to realize how much of a game changer he could be for us within his role. We're starting to see more straight line drives from Ron Holland. We even got to see, when I told y'all, he's got a little mid-range game. He has a smooth little mid-range game. Look to get downhill, pull it back, one little 10 to 15 feet out, pull up jump shot. He's got that. Go watch Ron Holland in the G League. Watch his game. You'll see he's got a lot more that he can do. Hitting the glass offensively and defensively, which he probably could have done a little bit more of, though Boston did do a good job of boxing out. His ability to be a lockdown defender, get into passing lanes, knock down threes confidently. We're seeing a confidence in Ron Holland's three-point shooting that should be exciting for us. It should be absolutely exciting for us. Gretzky, yo, what's going on? It's good to see you in the chat. It's good to see you in the chat. Asar was bad last game. I wouldn't say bad. I think his role in this game was to spend more time on the perimeter, hopefully nullifying a lot of their three-point shooting. It worked, but that also pulled him away from the basket. So he wasn't necessarily in position to rebound and play to that strength. Had he been guarding a wing forward like Jaylen Brown more, I think he would have had more rebounds, had more steals, had more blocks. But unfortunately, he was on Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, a lot more. And I think he did a good job. When I saw him on Peyton Pritchard, I was like, oh, they're trying to just cut the head off the snake type of deal. Because Peyton Pritchard is one of the scorers they depend upon. They depend on Peyton Pritchard to get them 18 to 20 points a game. If he doesn't, they have a hard time generating enough offense. I think I would have rather seen, well, we'll get there. Because Duncan Robinson is going to be a cone for the most part, most of the time. Yeah, there's going to be some levels of this team as we continue to grow. But let me digress and get back to Ron Holland. Ron Holland is starting to also figure out that balance between shooting threes and attacking, getting to the paint, getting to the rim. I think the more that we continue to win, especially as we roll into the All-Star break, and then we start rolling into that back half of the season. Remember, winning in November is not what this is about. Yo, D Dubs, it's good to see you in the chat, brother. It's good to see you in the chat. Remember, if you haven't already, y'all, if you can smash the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Remember, it's a small thing for you, but a big thing for the channel. It really is a big thing for the channel. Let me just say this. What was I just about to say? Shoot, lost my train of thought. Ron Holland mixing it up. Either way, let me just keep going. The other couple guys I want to get to is Dennis Jenkins and Javante Green. I'm not going to get to Duncan Robinson and Karis LeVert because if I'm honest with you, they're already playing at a maximum. Tobias Harris is playing at a maximum. This is as good as they're going to get. They're not going to get better. This is who they are. They have peaked, right? Tobias Harris is what, 33 years old? He's 33. Karis LeVert, Duncan Robinson, all over 30. This is who they are. Right? Yep. Tobias is 33. Karis LeVert, 31. Duncan Robinson is 31. But a Dennis Jenkins, I think we're going to see him have a uptick in his minutes once Jaden Ivey goes back into the starting lineup. Because they'll need someone else who can really run the show. And despite Karis LeVert showing he can get 8 assists, he's not somebody I want running the show. He's just not. He's just not. I would rather have him as a focused downhill scorer, playing off the ball. And then you have Duncan Robinson likely also moves to the bench when Jaden Ivey goes back into the starting lineup. We have a lot of depth and we have a lot of talent. And what that means is that guys are going to have to get in where they fit in. They're going to have to make the most of their minutes. Dennis Jenkins has solidified himself as a part of the rotation, even if he doesn't get as many minutes as we might all hope that he might deserve. And yet, we still have guys like Javante Green. Now, granted, Javante Green is 32. And if I'm honest with you, if I'm looking at Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert, and Javante Green off the bench, Javante Green, to me, feels more impactful. He's hitting enough threes a game where you can't just leave him open. But his ability to turn you over defensively, his ability to lock up Peyton Pritchard, lock up, I don't say he locked up Jaylen Brown, but he was able to frustrate Jaylen Brown. His ability to lock up a Derek White, his ability to generate offense through his defense, to me, it has more value than a floor spacer. Because where I see Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham, Tobias Harris, where I see these guys getting to by the end of the season, is their three-point shooting. Isaiah Stewart, Ron Holland, is going to be more than legitimate enough to create the spacing that we need offensively. But our defense, our ability to slow the other team down, to bog down their offense, has more value to me than a potential floor spacer. All that is to say is, I think Dennis Jenkins' minutes remains consistent throughout all the changes. In fact, I would foresee an uptick when Jaden Ivey goes into the starting lineup. I think Dennis Jenkins will have the ability to run the second unit. I think he will have the ability to effectively impact the game in a major way as a point of attack defender who can get turnovers, generate steals, get out in transition, create his own shot, get downhill, collapse the defense in an offensive half court. And he has the ability to set the table in a real way. If I'm honest with you, he is probably the best table setter on this team. Remember, it is not easy to advance the ball and then pull it out so you can make the entry pass. It's timing. It's awareness. It's seeing the floor. Where am I going to? Who am I trying to get the ball to? Okay, I'm going to accelerate with speed so I get my defender on his back foot retreating, and then I'm going to pull it back just in time so that my defender takes a few steps backwards, creating space that allows me the opening to make my entry pass in time, in concession with my teammate coming to the ball. right? It's a timing, it's a flow thing. It's a natural thing that you have to have. Dennis Jenkins is the best at it. I think he can run our second unit to a T. I would love to see Dennis Jenkins and Isaiah Stewart in a pick and roll. I would love to see that. I would love to see that. And then we have last but not least. I mean, it's hard to go to. I mean, Paul Reed is only 26. It's hard to go to 25-year-old Marcus Sasser. Um, it's tough. Damn, he's already older than Isaiah Stewart. We still have a lot of young talent that is still advancing. And it's amazing. It's dope to see them at the place they are right now, where they're getting better and better and better and better. They're figuring it out more and more and more. The game is slowing down more and more. They're seeing the floor, they're seeing the openings. They have a rhythm, timing, how to get to their shots, their spots. Many times the turnovers, many times the missed opportunities are all about that, the timing, the flow, that rhythm. By the time we get through this month, I expect us to fully be in that flow. Fully. 100%. I expect us to be in a place where we absolutely, absolutely are in a flow. Everyone knows what their role is. Everyone feels confident, not just in their role, but in their own abilities to play within that role. I expect to fully see this team downhill by the end of this month. And when I say downhill, I mean rolling through teams. Rolling through teams. Attila the Hun, Detroit, yo, what's good? He says biggest question, biggest upside, Chaz Zanier, Marcus Sasser. You mean Dennis Jenkins or Jay Ivey? I'm guessing you mean Dennis Jenkins. If I had to guess, biggest upside. Ooh, that is a tough one. They have different upsides for different reasons. Chaz Lanier, I think, as a shooter, is going to be pretty high level. I think he's going to be a pretty high level shooter. And when I say high level, I mean he could be a starting shooting guard for someone, for even a playoff team. I think he's uh, a more consistent Tim Hardaway Jr., who actually shows up in the playoffs with far more pop to his game. That means movement off the ball, finishing around the rim, creating off the dribble. He reminds me of Marcus Thornton back in the day. Used to play for the Sacramento Kings. Bounced around a lot. Yeah, ghost keeper. 100%. Chazanier's feel on both sides of the ball is very impressive. It's very impressive. He looks like a veteran. He looks like a veteran. So what happens when you play all 4 years. If I'm honest, if I'm the Pistons, that's pretty much all I'm drafting at this point. I mean, not, I'm all right. Look, I'm being maybe a little bit over the top, but to say in the draft, the ability to get a guy who's played 3-4 years is invaluable because you have the ability to get a guy who's able to contribute from day one. From day one. Sorry, I gotta drink some water. All this talking, boy, you get dehydrated. Mm. Ooh, some cool water. When you draft a 4-year guy, Ryan Kalkbrenner, when you draft a 4-year guy, Kobe Sanders, when you see a Tyler Kolek, when you see Ty Jerome, when you see a Chaz Lanier, when you have a guy who stayed all 4 years, played at a high level, in the NCAA. You're going to have a guy who's not just more mature, but let's really understand what that means. That means you have a greater understanding of yourself, of your game, high level of confidence. You also know how to play with others. You're not just always the man. If you had to stay all 4 years, you were not always the man. More than likely, you spent 2 of those years not being the man. And then you grew into being the man the last 2 years. That's why you got on the radar to get to the pre draft camp, to get drafted in the second round, or signed as an undrafted, unrestricted free agent. You understand what this is. You understand your expectation. You understand what we're looking for from you. Your ability to come in and contribute from day one is going to be so much higher than a guy who only played 1 year, maybe two. So much higher. Look at Cedric Coward, already in the starting lineup next to John Morant. Zach Edey could start from day one. Donovan Clingan, start from day one. This is the advantage of getting that guy. Now, I'm not saying pass up on a guy who has a lot of talent, a lot of ability, maybe needs to develop. I think we're playing with house money when it comes to our draft picks at this point. Playing with house money. We can go get the guy that we want. Really, what you're looking to do is replace somebody you may not be able to re-sign later. Our next draft pick should be either a young center, which if you look on our G League squad, we got some young centers, potential talented centers. Or we can also use a big wing shooter, a Duncan Robinson type. We can use a guy who's 6'8", who can shoot from the three-point line all day. Right? That's what we could use. That's what we could use at this point. But let me transition. This team, we got the Dallas Mavericks tomorrow evening, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. I believe that's what it said. I believe we're playing in Dallas, if I'm not mistaken. Let me pull it up here. I believe we are playing in Dallas. We're in Boston last. Yes, we will be in Dallas. And then we will be back home against Charlotte. And then on the road again against Portland, Sacramento, Utah, Clippers, Lakers. Ooh, that's a road trip for you. That is a road trip for you. So let's just say this. It's going to be a test. They're going to have some high level defenders, Anthony Davis on the interior. Jalen Duren, he better get locked in. Anthony Davis would love nothing more than to assert himself. Look, let me be clear. And this is something just to throw out there. Would we trade Duncan Robinson, Karis LeVert, maybe a pick? Probably have to include Tobias Harris for Anthony Davis. Would we? I think that puts Jaden Ivey in the starting lineup. Moves Dennis Jenkins and Javante Green into a larger role. Still got Ron Holland, Paul Reed, Isaiah Stewart. It depletes that veteran core, but then we also get Anthony Davis. These last few years may be the end of the Anthony Davis prime. But if he's competing for a championship, I would say this: Anthony Davis on this team would make us a real contender. I don't know if the rest of the team is ready around him. I don't think Duren is ready. I don't know if Cade might be closer to ready. I don't think Ivy is. I don't think Asar is. But we would be talented enough. We would be talented as hell. We would be absolutely scary. Essentially, what you're doing is you're replacing Tobias Harris with Anthony Davis. That's what you're doing. And I would say this, also recognize that you're going to get a different Anthony Davis than what you might see in Dallas right now. You're going to get a guy who recognizes he's on a championship potential team. He's going to kick in differently. There's a big I'm telling you right now, NBA players know if they are playing with an opportunity to win a championship or not. And when they are, they have a very different approach. In fact, we could probably trade for him. Get his eval, his med eval, and say, look, if you need to sit for a week, 2 weeks to get into great shape, really get your body where you want it to be, go ahead. We got Isaiah Stewart to plug into the starting lineup. We got Paul Reed, who deserves minutes anyways. Ron Holland could stand to get more minutes. Right? We still got a Tolu Smith and Bobby Clinton down there. I would understand that trade as long as it doesn't include any young star. It might cost us Marcus Sasser. It might cost us a Marcus Sasser because they could use some guard play. They could use a bucket off the bench. And it might cost us a pick. But I'll say this, if we have Anthony Davis, we're the best team in the East. And that's not just like record-wise. That's talent-wise. Anthony Davis, when he's right, he's better than Evan Mobley. When he's right, he is the best big man outside of Jokic and maybe Wemby. When he's right. You take an Anthony Davis, you put him on this team. I think we get that could be our Rasheed Wallace pickup. I would do that trade if it does not allow, if it does not require one of our core guys. As long as it does not require Ivy, Cade, Duran, Asar, Ron Holland. And it shouldn't, because the reality is Dallas just wants to get off of that contract. They just want to get off of that contract. That's the reality of it. But hey, Ghost Keeper. I was thinking about it the other day. I was just thinking about it. These are things I've been thinking about all day. I don't know why. I just do. What it could look like with Anthony Davis on the squad. There are many paths to success. That could be one of them. If we are really approaching this trade deadline and we're still the number one team in the East, number one seeded team in the East, Anthony Davis could take us there. He could take us there. Because we also have the depth that if it doesn't work out, we're still good. We're actually still good. If AD ends up getting injured, because injuries happen, right? Isaiah Stewart can still plug into the starting lineup next alongside Jalen Duren. Paul Reed can still be our big off the bench. And we're good. Ron Holland playing that forward position. Still got Javonte Green, Dennis Jenkins. Chaz Zanir probably slides in some more. If all it's costing us is Tobias Harris, Karis LeVert, Duncan Robinson. No, I get it. I would be concerned with the injuries as well. I would be as well. And that's going to put us definitely over the cap. That will put us in a position where we're going to be a little tight when it comes to re-signing Ivy and Duran, who I think are going to get over 30. But those contracts don't kick in until next year. All right. Financially, they may not want to do it. Of course, he wants a new contract, bro. Of course, he wants a new contract. And he wants to go somewhere where he believes he can get that contract. No, I would not get Michael Porter Jr. He's not Detroit basketball. You have to play defense to be Detroit basketball. All right. I got to hop on off. Just something to think about. Word for the day. Word for the day. Word for the day. I try to tie it into stuff that we're already talking about. Something that I have to work on is it's easy for me to get so focused on what I have to work on and get better at, develop, because that's enjoyable for me. Sometimes I forget to celebrate right where I am. And it's sometimes easy to do that with ourselves. Sometimes it's easy to forget just how far we've come in life. Sometimes it's easy to forget our journey and all that we have had to overcome to get to where we are. The word of the day is celebrate right where you are. If you can't enjoy the present moment, you're not going to get to some imaginary future moment where now all of a sudden you can. There's always something new, there's always something more, there's always something, a new opportunity, new area of growth. Sometimes we can become so inundated with thinking of ourselves as incomplete, unfinished, unworthy, not enough, that we forget to celebrate ourselves and recognize how amazing we are, how awesome we are, how talented we are. The things that we are doing today that we would have never thought we would have been able to do years ago. I remember when I first started this channel, it was terrifying to start the channel. It was terrifying. During the pandemic, doing mostly Raptors content. You should, man, don't. It's kind of embarrassing, but if you were to go back and see some of my early content, woo, oh man, oh man, ooh, that was interesting. It was a different time for sure. It's a different time. It's taken me years to get to 2,400 subscribers, members. Right? It's I have to celebrate this, not just look at man. Wait till I get to 3,000 subscribers. Man, wait until I get. It's like it's easy to get into that mindset of always looking at more, more. There was a time I used to take the bus. I have a car. Right? There was a time where, I was couch surfing, unhoused. Now I have my own place. Sure, I can think about what I have more to do, more that I would like, but it's important that I celebrate the moment. It's imperative. So the word of the day is be in the moment. Celebrate the present. Enjoy what life has brought you today because it matters. You are not who you will become. You are who you are right now. And that is invaluable. It's sacred. So embrace the moment. Celebrate yourself today, even if it's buying yourself a snack that you like, a dessert, treating yourself out to a nice lunch. Maybe it's just taking the pressure off yourself and stop tearing yourself down or only focused on what you still have to do and you haven't done. For today, don't do that. Stop that. Celebrate yourself. Acknowledge the journey. All right. Enjoy the moment. With that, uh, as always, live this life to the fullest. Laugh hard. Love someone deeply today. Have an amazing day. I'm gonna get at y'all next time. Peace.